na 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 na.
Giroud.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the True Blues podcast, episode 2 here. Thank you for all the support on our last video that we did. We got nearly 100 views, which is certainly a lot more than what we expected to get for our first video. So thank you for all the support. Keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing, and keep following our social media platforms, and keep up all the support. Thank you very much. Today we start with the superb Chelsea win over Atletico Madrid in Bucharest on Tuesday evening. After a disappointing display at St Mary's, the Chelsea boys put in a dominant display over the La Liga leaders to take a 1-0 lead into the second leg. I must admit, Kieran, I was pretty sceptical before the game, a little bit worried when I didn't see N'Golo Kante's name on the team sheet. I thought he was by far our best player against Southampton. He just looked fresh, energetic, he was getting everywhere. To not see him on the team sheet was quite worrying, especially seeing Atletico, are top of La Liga, surely one of the best teams in the competition. But fair play to his replacement, Jorginho. He stepped up and put in an outstanding performance, probably for me. Obviously, Giroud gets the plaudits for his outstanding goal, but Jorginho, for me, wasn't far behind him getting man of the match. Don't know what your thoughts were on that game.
Yeah, I thought it was a tough one to go into. Obviously, playing at a neutral ground, we don't get the spoils of them being beaten at home by us again. Obviously, we were the last team to beat them at home and the first team in a very long time to beat them at home in the Champions League, a team from England. Yeah, it was a good performance. You take a 1-0 win away from home. Mostly just looking at, we go into the game at the Bridge now with a lot of confidence and a lot of hope for hopefully progression through to the next stage of the Champions League.
Absolutely, and what was a fantastic thing. It was just solid throughout, wasn't it? I mean, we kept another clean sheet, which is just a brilliant thing to do. But yeah, we're just solid throughout. I thought we sort of dominated them. Just going to touch again on Jorginho, because I think he was crucial in our victory. To be honest, I think that was a brilliant change from Tuchel. Jorginho was just getting on the ball, always looking to move it in as little touches as possible. Something that we just didn't do against Southampton. It was, one touch to control it, and have another touch whilst looking up. It was all slow and sluggish. Jorginho really sort of changed the pace of the game for me against Atletico. He was almost playing. I know you'll love this. He was almost playing like a bit of an NFL quarterback, a double A run for the Green Bay Packers. He was just spraying the ball everywhere. I really liked how he was trying to. A couple of times he tried to get Callum Hudson-Odoi in behind. Obviously, that's what I think we did struggle with in that game. Just that sort of last killer pass. I think sort of the idea was there and it was correct. Just lacking that sort of last little bit in the final third.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. We needed a bit of injection of pace with Odoi and obviously the players like Pulisic, but we need someone to get them moving and send them balls down the line. And I thought Jorginho did that perfectly. Like you said, he was just sort of moving the ball around, very strategically, being a good leader in the middle of the pitch, very similar to Cesc Fabregas. And that's a quality he can display at times. He can be like a Cesc Fabregas for us. Obviously, I don't think they share the same traits and they're definitely not the same quality, but they are players who can facilitate the game and move the game around a lot for us. And I thought it was a very positive change, and it was just overall very good performance. Obviously, getting Cal involved, and obviously then we went on, and the spectacular goal from Ollie was just something to admire. I can't praise him enough for just how good he's been, particularly in the Champions League this season, and it's just very solid for us going forward.
He really is just immense for us. Really, he's been getting a lot of. I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but he's been getting a lot of credit this year for being underrated. And for me, he is massively underrated. I was the first person to, say amongst fellow Chelsea fans, like, why are we signing Olivier Giroud? Well, he doesn't score goals for Arsenal. Why have we signed him? But every time I watch the bloke, he's he's like a fine wine. He does get better and better every game for me. And what I just love about him, he's just such a team player. He puts the team first ahead of his own stats or goal scorings, and he just puts the team first. And I think that's why everyone loves playing with him. I know for a fact when Eden Hazard left, he said that Giroud was his favourite player to play with. So I just really hope that we don't let him go in the summer, because you just don't get strikers like him around at the moment. And I think he's crucial to the way we play. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think he is certainly crucial to the way we play and the way we've been playing, particularly since the new manager's come in. I really feel like he's been an integral part of what we're trying to do and the identity we're trying to have. And just the runs he makes, like in games, like he just darts across the defenders, making near post runs. He holds back to hold the ball up. Like there's a lot he does. And like you said, there's not many strikers that will do the dirty work that he does. They'll look out. Oh, I want to bag a hat trick here. I want to bag a hat trick there. Give me a goal here, two there, whatever. He's like you said, he's very unselfish. He plays for the team, and I don't blame Hazard for missing him when he leaves. Like he's just somebody who just does all the dirty work, does all the fantastic things for the team. And I was on the same boat as you, just like, why have we signed him? Like, what was the point in that signing a player who sits on the bench for Arsenal all the time? And obviously, we'd signed him not long after he went on that massive goal drought for Arsenal. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we signing him? But he's been an integral part of the team, scoring some very important goals and just been a very solid player, whether he's starting or he's coming off the bench. He's just been fantastic, really.
Absolutely, mate. I actually think he's just done a brilliant job. He's come in and he's helped us win trophies. He was superb in the Europa League last year. He's now got 6 in the Champions League this year. I think when we don't have him playing for us, I think we do look a little bit lost. When Giroud doesn't play, I just watch and I think, where are we going to create something here? Because I just don't think we've got those sort of players who can just take a game by the scruff of its neck and win a game by themselves. It's sort of, when he doesn't play, it does make me miss Eden Hazard, because Eden Hazard would do that. He would create something and he could win a game by himself. When Giroud doesn't play, you can really tell that we miss him.
Yeah, definitely. And just building on what you said, yeah, he was great in the Europa League for us. I think I read a stat somewhere. He has 12 goals in his last 15 European games in the Europa League and the Champions League. So it's just amazing, really, when you think about it, that he's managed to be that consistent in Europe when being deemed somewhat of just a bench player. Really, there's no two ways about it. That's what he was deemed as. Oh, we'll bring on someone big so we can get the ball pump the ball into the box when we're trailing or drawing. Like that's the sort of player we brought him in to be. But really, he's been an integral part of like spacing the team out. That's like he affords opportunities to players like Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic and Ziyech, and obviously not as much recently, but like Havertz, because he just spreads the game out because he holds down the middle of the pitch, allowing players to stay out wide and put in crosses early. Obviously, Azpilicueta has benefited greatly from being in the team, being able to pump the ball in the box to Hudson-Odoi is the same, and it's just like he is integral to our identity as a team right now, and I think he is our best option going forward.
Absolutely, I think he really shows what Tammy's lacking for me. Like, just when Tammy tries to hold the ball up, it just doesn't happen, does it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's not an ideal option to hold the ball up. He doesn't do much of anything really.
Another person I was very impressed with, actually. I was very sort of vocal, sort of about. I think we could have done with him against Southampton, and that was Andreas Christensen. He's just showed on Wednesday night how cool, composed he was. And Atletico didn't offer us a lot. You know, they played what,
Yeah,
6-3-1. I don't even know what they played, but don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I think Andreas Christensen in that role in there, I think he's crucial as well. Like, a bit like Jorginho, about how we play out from the back. We just look so much more like fluid with him in that centre back role. And I'll tell you what, since I think he's got to be up there as well. Since Tommy's come in as one of the most improved players in the squad at the moment.
Yeah, you seem to find that a lot of the players sort of fit the format of they move the ball, they build our tempo goes through the roof. We found in several games towards the end of Frank's reign and like throughout that we played so slowly, like we had no drive to get forward, no push to just move the ball and attack, 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 and that has been what has drove City 12 points clear at the top. They just throw everybody forward. They move the ball quickly. They get everybody
Absolutely.
forward. They do everything right. And the more we do that, the more we benefit from it. We put more pressure on. And obviously, we'll get into today's game a little bit later, but it was similar today. I thought, I agree with you. Andrew Christensen, he's fantastic on his day. Like when he can get the ball out from the back, when he can be contributing to the midfield, not only just like sitting back and doing his defensive duties, but when he can contribute and he can push forward a little bit and be someone who can facilitate and then leave other people to do their jobs, leave Hudson-Odoi to drift wide, leave Mount to sort of free roam around the pitch and not have the pressure on them to come to the ball every single time and them to facilitate. It adds a different dynamic to the game. And it was just very like impressive to see that he can put in a performance like that, and you just hope for more consistency of performances like that from him.
Yeah, absolutely. He did. Like for me, Suarez is one of the best strikers, best number nines in the world. I'd probably, in terms of number nines, I think you'd just put him behind Lewandowski at the moment. I mean, Haaland's
Yeah,
up there, but he just didn't even get a sniff. I don't think at all. So for our defence I know Atletico played very very averagely, and but
yeah,
we could have. There was a couple of times in the very first 15 minutes, I want to say, we gave away two, kind of half chances. So for us to not really make any other mistakes, I thought it's just really 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 important.
yeah. That's what it's about really against teams like Atletico. They don't often make a mistake, so if you do and they catch you on it, then it it could spell the end for the game because they will pounce. They have
Exactly. That's
Suarez.
that's
They
that's
have
what they're
players
trying
like
to
that.
do, isn't it?
They're trying to wait for you to make a mistake because they more often than not won't make one. So that's why they keep so many clean sheets. That's why they have so many 1-2-0 wins. You don't see Atletico really going out there and like battering teams like 4-5-6-0. They are a team who will wait for you to make a mistake and never make one. They're one of the most solid teams in Europe the last 6-7 years. They are just like almost perfect. And we caught them out now for the second time in the last few years and just pounced on opportunities and made the most of it. A 1-0 win, I think any team in Europe would take that, like not to say away from, well, we're away from home and they're also away, but going into an away leg in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid and you take a 1-0. We were obviously not given much hope about going through. We were probably deemed to get the hardest draw of the first knockout round, and we've come out with a great result, and it puts us in a very good position to just follow up on that performance, stay solid, move the ball quickly, and if they're just going to sit deep and not press us and not push to get the ball back and push to attack us, we can play a free flowing game, which will benefit players like Jorginho and having Andreas Christensen in there because they will move the ball around. They will create the space, and we won't have to rely on necessarily just sitting back and hoping that their defensive duties are fulfilled. Like we can move the ball around. We can be a bit different. We can add variety to the game. So all in all, it was a great result. Really, one of the best results we've had in the last few years.
It really is. Just I think because of the current sort of situation we're in, we're currently fourth in the Premier League, but there's not a lot between what even second and fifth or sixth. So I
Yeah,
think for us that's a real statement to say to those other teams in the Premier League, like, look, we've just done this to leaders in La Liga. Like, I think you need to be a bit concerned about when you come up against us.
yeah, and we were the team that didn't make a mistake, and if you don't make any mistakes, it's it'd be very few and far between anybody beats you. You might not get the results you want. You might get a few draws in there instead of victories you might need. But if we're not making any mistakes and we're forcing teams to break us down and they don't have the capability to do that, that doesn't fit their style, then we stand in pretty good stead to get a good string of results going forward. If we continue to be as solid as we are, and obviously there are a few gaps that need to be filled, like we need to be a bit more clinical, we need to create a bit more and drive the ball into the box a little bit more. We could be in the best form we've had since the last time we won the league. Like we could really be up there. We just need to build on the not making mistakes and not compromise that for something else.
Yeah, well, I think what is that, eight on the bounce, 7 or 8 on the bounce without losing now, and I mean we currently have. I don't want to touch wood, don't want to jinx it, but we haven't conceded a goal at Stamford Bridge. So yeah, under Thomas Tuchel, that is. So it's looking positive for the second leg.
Yeah, well that builds on the stat of the game I have for the United game today, which is Tuchel is the first manager since Brendan Rodgers in 2011-12 to keep 4 consecutive clean sheets in his first 4 home league games. So it's been almost 10 years since that's been done.
Yeah. So he's had a fantastic start to his Chelsea career, and it's the first sort of big result that we had a big result against Spurs. Spurs, I think we played them at quite a good time. They weren't quite at their best when we played them. They were quite poor as well, to be honest. But to get a win at, like I said, La Liga leaders, that's a real big statement. But the only concern we do have is second leg at Stamford Bridge. We do not have Jorginho, who I've already touched on, was really, really impressive in that game. And we also do not have Mason Mount, who has been just crucial the whole season. He's been just, every time he plays, he's probably been man of the match or certainly up there. So how do you think we're going to cope without those two in the second leg?
Well, hopefully we'll have players that will fill in duties. Obviously, we'll build on more about what he did today. But Mateo Kovacic, when called upon, for the most part, has been solid. He doesn't. This has always been a thing about him, which it's hard to explain why I like it so much. But he does a bit of everything quite well. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, that's like his main trait. Like he's not the best passer. He's not the best defensively. He's not the best on the ball. He doesn't score the most goals. He's not the quickest, but he just does everything. He chips in. He'll throw a tackle in. He'll press forward and try and win the ball back. He'll dribble at defenders. So hopefully he can fill in the role, and hopefully he accelerates the game the way Jorginho did. And with Mount, it's a difficult one. He is the spark plug in our team. He is essentially the leader, which unfortunately we don't have many of those right now. Mason Mount has been called upon to be a leader, and he has been a very good leader thus far. So it's 2 big blows, but I'm confident that if we just stay solid and we have players that can fill in, and whether it be Pulisic or Havertz, or we have Werner and Giroud starting up top, we just need for them to fill in and play the way the people they're replacing have been playing. And hopefully we come out with a positive result, but obviously nothing's certain, and touch wood, we get a good result.
Yeah, do you reckon this will Tuchel will try some different tactics or set up in a different way, or do you reckon he'll just go sort of like for like? So obviously Kante in for Jorginho, and then maybe a Ziyech or Havertz in for Mount.
Yeah, I think it'll be more of a like for like. I don't think he'll roll the dice on trying something particularly innovative going into the next game, just because it worked the first time round. He's still very new to the team. Like we've only had him, just over a month or so. Like he really has only just gone through his pre-season as such, getting to know the team, getting to know the players, lining up. But these pre-season games he would have had normally have been important league games, a Champions League tie, an FA Cup game. Like he hasn't had much time to really figure out much of anything. So once he's got something to work, I don't think he's going to want to stray too far away from that. So I think potentially with Mount out, we might see Kai Havertz get a run out, and just hoping that he can produce. And obviously he's not been given much of an opportunity under Tuchel, and he was quite unimpressive to start the season under Lampard, but like hopefully we can just get a good performance out of him, a good start to the game,
Yeah,
strong start, and we just stay solid defensively. And hopefully we don't have to rely on
yeah,
players to do much of anything going forward. We just take our opportunities when we get them.
yeah. Definitely, it's certainly going to be an interesting leg. I mean, it's a tricky one because it's not as if he's got easier sort of games in the Premier League, shall we say, to try some different players in those positions. We've obviously had Manchester. We're just talking after the Manchester United game today, Liverpool Thursday, and then I think we've got Leeds and Everton coming up.
Yeah, we have
So
Leeds and Everton
it's not
coming
as
up.
if he can
That's
try
right.
some different tactics. He's got to try and put out a solid team every week at the moment. So I just hope that we don't pick up any more injuries along the way.
Yeah.
But obviously, we've just briefly mentioned there Manchester United. I think we're going to move on to that now.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else to add on the Atletico Madrid game, Kieran, before we move on to
No,
Manchester
I
United?
think that's everything. I think it was quite a cagey game overall, and just delighted with the result. And hopefully we can push forward and maybe relive the memories of 2012.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And it was a pretty cagey game today, wasn't it, against Manchester United?
Oh
As
yeah,
0-0s go, for me, it wasn't the worst I've seen. I thought both teams moved the ball quite crisply, moving it sort of well in their own halves. Sort of getting out from each other's press, shall we say? So yeah, the build-up play and playing out for the back was pretty good. But in the final third, I think both teams really did struggle today, which was a shame because there's a lot of attacking quality on that pitch today. So to see very little of it was disappointing.
yeah, definitely. I just overall, like you said, it was very cagey, back and forth. Teams were going forward, and then just coming to nothing, winning the ball back, or there was a lot of lost possession from both sides where they weren't necessarily pressured into losing the ball, but just couldn't really do much with it. They were trying to get forward and just got a bit stuck in their ways. Um, Obviously, both teams, like you said, had a lot of attacking quality, a lot of players who've scored a lot of goals and a lot of important goals over the last few years, particularly this season with like Rashford, Giroud, obviously Timo Werner come on a bit later on, Mason Mount, and there wasn't a lot of anything. Obviously, the best opportunity of the first half, I would say, went to Olivier Giroud, where he just slightly missed out on that diving header at the front post from an excellent ball in from Callum Hudson-Odoi. And then I think that's just sort of when his impact went downhill there. When obviously he hit his back off the post, I feel like he was a step
Yeah.
slow. Obviously, he's not the quickest player in the world anyway, but he was just
Living up to his
he's
40
moving a bit.
pace on FIFA.
Yeah, and then he was just not moving the way he was before, and that there was just a lot to be desired in the finishing department. And then like going into like a brief overview, obviously of the second half, the best opportunity falling to Hakim Ziyech. The ball squared across from Ben Chilwell, and De Gea, I personally thought, made an excellent save, going the wrong way, sticking a strong hand out to it and
It
stopping
was a
it.
good
And
hand,
then
wasn't it? Very good hand.
it was absolutely brilliant, mate. 99% of other goalkeepers have overshot that, and that's gone into the far corner, and we run away with a tidy 1-0 victory. But it was a great save from him. Obviously, the follow up then from himself and Reece James was less than ideal, but yeah, very cagey as 0-0s go. Yeah, not the worst. There was a lot of positive play, but just not much of anything to really talk about in terms of highlights. There weren't really any, and we had two clear cut chances. United obviously had that one through McTominay, and that was it. Really, it was just a lot of trying to get the ball out of
Yeah,
midfield and a lot of loss of possession.
yeah, it's kind of a good job. We actually did do a double header in terms of, um, sort of reviews today, just because we would have struggled to get a bit out of that game, to be honest. I think, in my opinion, I do think the reason we struggled was because we lacked pace. I think there was nobody really running in behind. So I know Timo has struggled in the with his form of late, but I think we did miss him today. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I thought obviously the commentators touched on it a lot, and like you just said, like pace could have done it for us with Lindelof and Maguire not being the paciest of centre backs. We could have really exposed them going forward, which is why I think when Giroud come off, Pulisic was like a natural fix. That I think Tuchel sort of looked at it like this is the opportunity for him to go forward and just run in behind and expose the lack of pace there and do a bit more than Giroud did. Obviously, making his late runs and stuff, that was great. And he was hard to track, but just making runs in behind and catching them on the counter like they seem to do to us quite a lot through like Rashford and Dan James. I thought we lacked a lot of that. It was we could have done with Jorginho, I think, a bit more creativity. But a standout for me personally, I don't know about you, but Mateo Kovacic today, I thought he was absolutely excellent. In my opinion, he was the man of the match. He did everything. Obviously, I touched on him doing a bit of everything earlier, but he was so crisp on the ball. He had that situation, obviously, early on in the game where he was sort of trapped in the corner and he's just wriggled his way out and then made a pass out and kept coming forward to the ball. I thought he was excellent. He just did a bit of everything. He was unfortunate, obviously, not to contribute to a goal, but I thought he was great. And another player who really stood out for me today, obviously, not being given the most opportunities since the new manager's come in. I thought Ben Chilwell was excellent today. I thought he was up and down that wing perfectly. He was putting balls in. He obviously put that wonderful ball across the box to Ziyech for the best opportunity of the game. And I thought he was fantastic, personally. There was a lot of positives to take out of the game from individual performances. But obviously, there's a lot to be desired in the finishing department going forward. What did you think about...
I'm actually going to agree and disagree with you there. I'm going to agree with you on Mateo Kovacic. I know it's sort of becoming a bit of a thing that we said about Giroud, or when we signed him, we weren't sure on him. And I was a bit the same with Kovacic. 40 million is quite a lot for a player who, in my opinion, in his first year with Sarri, he wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't brilliant. So 40 million for a player like that who didn't really change the game for us, I was like, that's a lot of money. And then last year he was just different level. He was different level. He's by far our best player in my opinion. And today, you're right. He backed that up. He just offers something for me that not a lot of centre mids have. That if he's not the best passer of the ball in my opinion, but he makes up for that with his sort of dribbling and his driving from midfield. Something which I don't think other midfielders have. So he just gets out of tight situations and he can really set up the game nicely. But I am going to disagree with you on Ben Chilwell. I didn't think he was terrible, but he had a bit of Kurt Zuma syndrome where he decided to take 3 touches and then not do a lot with the ball. You're right. I think he was solid. He didn't really come in any trouble at all, but it was a bit 1 touch, 2 touch. Oh, I'm going to go backwards kind of thing. I would just like him just to deliver the ball a bit. Like sometimes the ball was, I think, sat there to get in the box first time, really. But by the time he whips it in, the defence were set, in my opinion. So, yeah, I do like him. I'm a big fan of Ben. Usually, I think he had a really good start to his Chelsea career, but unfortunately, I don't think he was bad today. But I don't think he was excellent. But someone who I did think he did struggle was Hakim Ziyech. I thought he grew into the game second half, and he was a lot better second half. But first half, I found he was just doing the same job as Mason Mount in there, and that's what I mean about Timo Werner. If we had Timo Werner in either instead of one of them, it just would have offered something a bit different.
Yeah, definitely. Ziyech was very underwhelming today. He just lacked the creative spark that we signed him for. Really, that's what we wanted from him. We wanted a creative spark. We wanted somebody moving the ball around, and just creating chances, running at defenders. He didn't really do that today. I sort of thought his head dropped a little bit, and he just didn't seem interested in the game. And then when he come off, he just went straight to the bench, sat down, didn't really pay much attention to the game. And I don't know if you saw him at the end of the game. He just looked like he wanted to be absolutely anywhere else except from at the bridge. And I just thought his attitude today affected the way he played. And he had a bit of Christian Pulisic syndrome where the minute something doesn't go his way, he just starts having a paddy about it, and it just ruined his game for him. I think not scoring really just shot him after that. His head was just in the mud after that. He didn't really seem interested. And then I was a bit worried because he's meant to be our creative spark. He's meant to be our playmaker, and he didn't do anything really. He had a shot on target, but he didn't really do much for anybody else other than
No.
have a shot on target.
I mean, that
So
chance,
it
we
is a
said it
bit
was a good
worrying.
save from De Gea, but we said it was a good save from De Gea. Really, a player of his quality, I think he probably should have scored. I'm not going to lie to you. Give credit dues. David De Gea's done everything he can right. Great save, but I don't know, a bit too close to the keeper for me. I think he should have done better. Don't know what you think of that. Am I being harsh?
Yep. No, 100%. I look at that and like it's still a good save because obviously the keeper is coming back across his goal and he's put it right where the keeper's been stood. But I think of that of like just myself, like somebody plays the perfect squared ball to me at a great pace. I'm just thinking, even for myself, who I'm not a goal scorer, I'm just thinking I'm wrapping that in the top corner. Like nobody's saving it. Don't matter how good they are. Doesn't matter like what keeper it is. That's going top corner. So it's just a shame, really. And then in terms of like other performances, I thought Callum Hudson-Odoi, he got quite a lot of criticism I heard from like the Sky commentators, which I didn't think was particularly valid. You could tell he was a bit jaded for the whole game, and obviously he's come off of an injury like early on. But like the cross he put in for the Giroud almost chance, the header he just missed. I thought that was fantastic. The way he was running that Luke Shaw looked fucking knackered by the 60th minute because Callum Hudson-Odoi just kept going at him, and like every time he got down the line, I thought Hudson-Odoi did track quite well. He stayed with him, and I think that pairing on the right hand side is one that, like Azpilicueta with Hudson-Odoi or Reece James. I just think the communication Azpilicueta has with everybody else on the pitch is fantastic, and that's why he's our captain. He's a leader. He's doing everything a captain should do. He's telling what people where they need to be. He's covering for them. He's sweeping everything up behind them. I think he's absolutely brilliant like that, and I don't think Hudson-Odoi deserved the criticism he got. Aside from obviously
I'm a big fan of him.
We'll get into the dodgy penalty shout that United had. What did you think of that? I personally think it's just incidental contact on the hand. He's obviously trying to get in front of Mason Greenwood there, and it's just touch his hand. When I saw it initially, I thought, like most people did, it's just hit Greenwood's arm and we're going to play on. And then obviously they've gone back and looked at it, and you could tell if you saw it, he was stood right behind the referee when he was looking at the screen, just ready to lose the plot if he gives it as a penalty. So that did amuse me. That was probably one of the best bits of entertainment for the whole game, was watching Hudson-Odoi looking like he's ready to chin the referee if he gives a penalty.
Yeah, well, as a qualified referee myself, I think I have a very, very good opinion on this. A very valid opinion. For me, level 7, level 7, quality referee right here. Maybe I should go into that career rather than the podcast, but we'll leave that for the viewers' opinion. Anyway, for me, I thought I might have been a little bit biased. I don't think it was a penalty. I just don't see where else is he supposed to put his hands. It's sort of a coming together-ish. He's got his hands there to protect himself, in my opinion, from Mason Greenwood. I think Mason Greenwood did the same. So for me, it wasn't a penalty, and it kind of evens itself out after our meeting at Old Trafford with Man United when Harry Maguire decides to get the Stone Cold Stunner out on Azpilicueta. So that's 1-1, and I think that's evens.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I just looked at it and thought, there's absolutely no way that there's going to be another penalty for United. I
thought he was going to give it. I thought he was going to give it though, to be honest.
So did I, and I thought, oh god, no way, this can't be happening. We can't be giving them another penalty. We can't be giving them another. Bruno Fernandes is the best player in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong, he's a quality player. He did absolutely fuck all today, but like I was like, oh god, here we go. We're going to hear the chatter about him.
He was atrocious.
He was woeful. He didn't. That's the thing with that. I don't think we've obviously touched on like the other players' performances. Like we really could have done a lot more in the game because I don't feel like, aside from Dan James, nobody did anything for United. Like I never felt pressured. Like the one shot McTominay had was the only time I was like, oh god, they might score here. I thought Marcus Rashford was absolutely woeful today. His positioning was all over the place. He was playing up front, then he was playing out wide, then he was like drifting back. He wasn't getting forward, and then obviously they had that great counter-attack chance from the free kick that we had whipped into the box that nobody decided to go for. And he's just let it run past him, and then he's screaming and shouting and doing all of this. And I'm just like, he's stayed far too tight to Dan James. He's not gone out wide, and we got off lucky there, but that just sort of really spoke on United's performance today. And we were the better of the two sides, and there wasn't much in it, but like they didn't do anything going forward. I thought Bruno Fernandes barely existed. The only thing he did in the game was complain. It was all he did was he had words with Rudiger. He moaned about the penalty that wasn't given because he was like, "Oh God, this is probably the only shot on target I'm going to have all game." And then like he didn't do anything. I personally thought Dan James was the best player for United today, and he really didn't do all that much.
I think on paper he's their worst player, and he was their best player today. I was quite impressed with him. He did cause a bit of trouble for us, didn't he?
Yeah, I really found like going out to that left side, Rudiger was in a world of trouble when Dan James was running at him. Like when Chile was getting down the wing and like creating space out wide, and then like the ball's been obviously dispossessed. And they're breaking. They've gone straight to Dan James. You're looking at Marcus Rashford, their top goal scorer this season, one of the best players in the Premier League. And they're not even looking towards him because they know Dan James is just running circles around Rudiger. And he was very fortunate not to be caught out a lot more than he was today. So
there was only the one time that he beat. There was only the one time that he sort of beat him. It might not have even been him he beat, but he got to byline, put a cross in, which Mendy fumbled. But other than that, he sort of lacked the end product, didn't he?
Yeah, which sort of speaks to what I see Dan James as a player. He's just a bit of the Theo Walcott syndrome. He's just bangs the ball down the line, chases after it, and then squares it. But that was all they had. They
hasn't got a cross. I agree, mate. I was impressed with Tony. Just touching on that, with how Tony dealt with him. I was impressed with Tony's pressing today. I thought when him and McTominay had a altercation in the first half, and I did drop you a message saying I hope someone clatters him and he's bringing down a peg or two. And I did notice that when every time he got the ball, he was pressing him, Antonio Rudiger. So he's playing for the badge. He's looking like he could be a future true blue.
Yeah,
still think he's got some work to do after what happened with Frank, but you know we don't know what happened there, but we can only guess. But
yeah, we can speculate. But yeah, definitely like. You can see that sparked a bit of his mental side when obviously him and McTominay got into it a little bit, and that's something that's always been true for Rudiger. Like he gets into it with players all the time. Like he is just a bit of a head case. Like he doesn't really care. Like he's the closest thing since Diego Costa to just an absolute lunatic on the team. Like he'll just get into it with absolutely anybody on the pitch, and it was just like it was good to see pressing, but that's something I think we lacked, and I think we could have created a lot more chances if we did press. If you watch early in the first half, Mason Mount was screaming at Ziyech, at Kante, at everybody. Press, get forward, get to the ball. Like he was pressing the keeper every time the ball went back to De Gea, and we could have done a lot more of that. So Rudiger, yeah, he improved in the second half. The jury's not out on.
Yeah, you're not 100% a fan of him, are you?
No, I'm not. I obviously we can speculate about what happened with Frank, but I still think he snaked him a bit. So
yeah.
I don't tolerate that for Frank. Yeah. That's my hero. That's the closest thing I've had to a dad in my life. So
yeah, I think his intent is there. Like he's the one at the moment without Thiago Silva. He's the one in the centre backs who is going for the big diags across the pitch and whatnot. So I think the intent is there. Do I think he's quite the finished article yet? No. And I think we can get more out of him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, we hope so. Like we touched on last week, Thiago Silva isn't going to get any younger. We need players to sort of take his lead. And I think that's another quality that Thiago Silva can bring to the team is he can pass on everything he does for like the next set of centre-backs we've got, for Christensen, for Zuma, for Rudiger, for whoever else coming up who we might sign in the future. It's just a lot of hope, really, going for there. A lot to be hoped, a lot to enjoy. But yeah, like we didn't drop points. we're not falling behind in the race for the top four. Obviously, I think we sit 5th now.
Yeah, we're 5th.
We just have to go on and win the Champions League again and slither our way into the top four.
Yeah. So to conclude that bit on the Man United section, we're going to sort of move into our player spotlight as well, which is obviously one man and one man only. We touched him in earlier, so I don't think we need to say too much on him for our player spotlight. But Olivier Giroud, do you reckon he is our best striker? Would you like to see Timo Werner down the middle, or do you think we need to get a new centre forward? Where do you think he sort of fits?
At the minute, goal scoring wise,
I certainly thought when he came off today, we really struggled. We didn't have a plan B. But what are your thoughts? Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, you're fine. That's a good point to be made. Yeah, we didn't really have an identity going for when he come off because we had Cal and Reece James making the perfect decisions for a player like Giroud up front. It was just you get the ball, corner of the box, you just whip it in. Like the missed chance we had in the first half where he was just inches away from the ball. But that's the sort of thing Giroud does. He just walks and then just darts, uses all of the 40 pace he's got, and just darts front post. Like there's two. I wouldn't say the best centre backs in the world, but competent enough centre backs who should be able to track a striker. But his runs are just ridiculous. Like Timo Werner should be making runs like that because he's absolutely rapid. You think he makes runs like that, he gets into all the space in the world. But he's our best going forward. And obviously, saying to that, I read a few articles this week linking us with the idea that Abramovich has given the green light to sign Erling Haaland this summer. And I just think with the way Werner's playing now, we have to do what championship teams do. And if we have an abundance of players at one position because we need them to produce, so be it. Look at Man City. Man City had a £400 million bench yesterday. Like that.
Do you reckon Abramovich do you think Abramovich has said that so he can get him before he goes to Man City or Real Madrid, or do you reckon it's a genuine signing?
I'm not sure because obviously we are linked with everybody in the dog when it comes to it. We have been for the last 15 years. Obviously, since Abramovich has arrived, we have just been linked with absolutely everybody. Any big name that is potentially out there, that is a potential signing for Chelsea. But I hope so. I mean, like based on the form he's had now and the goals he's scoring all the time, I would take him. I think he's a player who can translate into the Premier League well, a bit more than Timo Werner maybe has. I think that it's a lot quicker and a lot more physical in the Premier League than it is anywhere else in the world. And obviously, you look at the world-class teams that do win the Champions League, the Real Madrids and the Bayern Munichs and stuff, they have the best of the best in their leagues at almost every position. Like they have world-class players everywhere. So that's what we need to do. If we need that and we have a two-striker formation with Werner and Haaland, I think that would work quite well. Or if we push Werner out wide a little bit and had Hudson and Odoi as like a wing-back and then Mount sitting in behind, like that could be great going forward. Obviously, with Dortmund yesterday, he started, he got an assist, and he played the full 90 minutes. That's another thing. He plays almost every minute of the game. That's a striker we need. Somebody who can play 90 minutes, and he's quick, he's powerful, he's a great goal scorer. It's what we want, but realistically, if we don't get him, we just need Werner to produce. We can't rely on Giroud for 90 minutes. He doesn't have it in him, I don't think. He's too old now. That's another thing we had. He's the oldest player to score in a knockout game for an English club in the Champions League since Ryan Giggs did it, which was about 9 years ago when Giggs was like 58 or however old he was when he started to wind down a little bit at United.
Yeah. Well, for me, though, the only issue I have there, I would absolutely take Erling Haaland over in a heartbeat, don't get me wrong. But this is a question I'm going to pose to you. We are struggling with creating rather than finishing. Do you reckon that's true or not?
Yes and no.
So rather than wasting chances.
We are struggling creatively. Like the formation we play, we rely on players who are typically like midfielders or like wingers are playing as inside forwards in the formation we're playing. It's a weird one, like the way it's like laid out. Mason Mount, he seems to be thriving in it, but he makes a lot of runs. He's an effort player. He doesn't stop. He'll run, he'll dart forward, do whatever. Ziyech obviously had a great start. Like when he first came into the side, come back from the injury he picked up in pre-season, he was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, we're struggling to create, but we're also struggling to finish. We're taking, for example, today, Pulisic driving forward, edge of the box, just skies it. Like we don't have that killer instinct. We don't have a poacher in the team right now.
You can tell there's a lot of young players there, can't you? Pulisic, 21. Werner, I think, is only 24, 25. He's not even at his peak or prime, shall we say. Hudson-Odoi, he's 20. Mount, 22. I mean, Tammy, even though I don't think he's good enough, he's 23.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So you're right, there is lack of experience, isn't there?
Yeah, which is why, obviously, a player we touched on last week, we need experience. Like, if David Alaba is available, we need players like him, a utility player. He would be perfect for what we're trying to do. Play the ball out the back. Come on, he would be great. Having him, Thiago Silva, and Azpilicueta as a back three. All three of them can play the ball out from the back. They're all great with the ball at their feet. That would be perfect for us if we want to accelerate the game. We just need a bit more spark and a bit more drive to just get the ball into the box. I think we play around with it a bit too much. We drive down the line and we put in a cross as like a last ditch effort. But really, what we need to do is just pump the ball forward and get it into the box and drive people into the box and make runs. And that's what Timo Werner needs to do. He needs to sort of stop half of his foot on the pedal and just fully go all out for it and just drive, make runs. Yeah, you're going to get caught offside here and then, but there's going to be one defender, and I think today was a perfect opportunity to display that. There's two defenders who can often be caught just out of position or a bit asleep on the job in Lindelof and Maguire. He could have just made a darting run in behind, bang. It's not like he's got a hard finish. He's trying to force a goal. He's trying to force this, force that. He could really get a lot out of just making those runs and just seeing what he can do. But he needs the service. He needs the players to put the balls into him. And we have a lot of people who just drive and then just take a shot and just boot it straight against a defender. So yeah, a bit of both. I think leaning more towards the creativity side of it. What do you reckon? Do you reckon we're lacking the finishing, or are we lacking creativity and chance creation going forward?
I actually think it's a bit of the creativity, to be honest with you, mate. I think it was before Timo's sort of dry spell that I think we were missing the opportunities. I know he missed a sitter against Leeds. I think he missed a couple of good opportunities against Newcastle, but these were both games, in December when he was sort of on form for us. So I actually think now it's actually a bit of the creativity. Someone who That's why I do like Ziyech, and I think that's what he has to offer. He can make that killer pass. He's got that in his locker. But unfortunately for me, I just see Ziyech playing the same role as Mason Mount. When he first came to Chelsea, I thought he was going to be a right winger, sort of like Mahrez, be able to take on players, a bit skillful, a bit tricky, wonderful left foot, cross balling and whatnot. But he is a bit more of a centre attacking mid. And for me, Mount's the first name on the team sheet. So that's where things get a bit tricky. But I think Ziyech is more creative than Mount. But I think Mount, for the team in general, is more crucial: work rate, pressing, defensively. And like you said, is Ziyech's attitude completely there? I don't know. I don't think we'll know. But that's my opinion. I think we're lacking a bit of creativity. And that's, I think, to do with the young squad. I would have liked to have seen, maybe, as much as I like Kai Havertz and think he'd be a brilliant player for the future, could we have done with someone a bit more experienced to provide that spark? Like, I look at Real Madrid and someone like Isco, who's been on the fringes there and not really played too much. Would we have been better off with someone like him? I don't know, but I guess Ziyech is an experienced player himself. He should be stepping up more. It's a tricky one for me. It's a tricky one, but can you remember really the last time in the game where you other than Ziyech, I've already said it, Ziyech should have scored today, but just a chance where they've really missed it. Oh no, that's cost us a point, or that's cost. I can't remember the last time that we actually missed a chance, which I think we should have scored, barring that Ziyech one.
No, there's not really those. We've had a good run of it, especially Giroud. Giroud's been very clinical, but yeah, Ziyech should step up a little bit more. And you are right with Havertz. And you took the name like right off me. Like Isco, another player, creative, on the fringes, like just could offer a bit more. Like he's a very slow the game down and dictate it to his pace, and then
He
just
would have to come here with a point to
spray
prove,
the
wouldn't
ball
he?
forward. Yeah, chip on his shoulder.
Sort of
Same,
Bale.
same as
I know Bale hasn't
same as
quite
a lot of
lived up
players.
to that.
I mean, he didn't do too bad today, or Gareth Bale with two goals and an assist. But yeah, we
No,
we
exactly.
need the creativity, we need the chances created to finish him. Like Timo Werner hasn't had a lot of shots because he doesn't get the service, because we play with a lot of players who drive forwards. They're not looking for the pass, and that's why we need Ziyech's main attribute, which is that killer pass to really push us on and develop our game going forward. So I just hope that they can all sort of figure it out soon, and we can push on and get that good top four finish.
Yeah, I mean, having just said that, I don't know if we can fit him amount in the same team, to be honest. But looking forward to the Liverpool game, how do you think we can be more creative? What is there any player changes, any tactical changes? What would you like to see us do for that game?
Expose the injuries, expose the weaknesses Liverpool have with the injuries. They've got a lot of players out. Like we need to expose that. We need to the inexperience, the lack of time spent together. They've been chopping and changing that back four non-stop this season. We need to pounce on that. Like they are a very strong team going forward, and they've caused us a lot of problems over the last few years. Particularly Mo Salah. Mo Salah has run us absolutely ragged over the last few years, and obviously that is very unfortunate. It seems we used to have him playing for us, but we need to set up. We need to be solid. We need to play a lot more like we did against Atletico Madrid, not making any mistakes, not giving them the opportunity to go forward. We can't rely on bad performances from players like Mane and Jota and Salah. Like I think Marcus Rashford's a wonderful football player. I think he's potentially, bar Harry Kane, England's best player. Like he is absolutely fantastic. But he played terrible today. But I don't look at Sadio Mane as capable of having a game like Rashford had today, or Mason Greenwood's performance today being like what Mo Salah will be like. Like they have those game changers. They have some of the best players in the league. What we need to do creatively, really, is create space, and expose their weaknesses of their chopped and changed back four. What do you reckon? What do you reckon the key is to that game?
I think for me, the key is almost Liverpool. I think if you look at the opponents we've played under Tuchel, we've played Wolves, defensively solid side in general. Now they struggled this year, but I think that's more because of losing Raul Jimenez to the head fracture. Burnley, another defensively solid team. Man United, more of a defensively solid team, counter-attacking, that sort of gist. And Atletico Madrid, defensively solid. Whereas Liverpool, I think they will actually come and play at us. These teams, in my opinion, sort of sat back a little bit, a bit tentative. I think Liverpool, even though they're in bad form, they're going to play their football. Klopp's shown that he doesn't. I think he should try and change something or I think he should have done earlier. But they will play the same style of football, so they'll come at us, and they will come at us hard, no matter how out of form they are. So I think that is the real key. How can we react to someone actually playing offensively against us, if you get my gist there? I don't know if I put that right.
Yeah, you're right. We've played against a lot of teams who sort of sit back and look for their opportunities and pick
negative
times
the teams
and
we play
opportunities.
negative, aren't they?
Yeah, essentially. And Liverpool are balls to the wall, send everybody forward. That's how they won the league last year. They just outscored absolutely everybody and were solid defensively. But it's like I touched on, like Mane and Salah aren't two players you want to give more than one opportunity in a game. Because if you let them have too many, they'll make you pay for it. So yeah, you're right. The key to the game is what are Liverpool going to do? If Liverpool turn up and they're the Liverpool that have been on the form they have been recently, they have been absolutely woeful. Like we'll be fine. We just need to press on, and we need to put them under a lot of pressure. We need to put their centre backs under pressure. We need press. We need Mason Mount to do what he did today. Just chase them down. Push everybody else to chase them down. I think we don't really have a centre forward who does that the way Drogba used to do, where you put defenders under pressure and he's big and strong and he's got a bit of pace. Giroud, obviously, big, strong player, but not got a lot of pace. Diego Costa was another one. Those two players would absolutely torture defenders because they were quick enough to put them under enough pressure and strong enough where it's not like just because they're quick, they'll get pushed off the ball quick, like easily and quickly, and then the next phase of the game will go on. We really need to just put them under a lot of pressure and take the game to them. If we sit back and let them take their opportunities, it'll be the same as last year, where Salah scored that absolutely wonderful goal because we just sat back and let them dictate the game, they dictate the pace. And that's what Liverpool will do. And they have two of the best players in the world for just darting diagonal runs in behind in those two wingers. That's what we need from players like Pulisic and Werner. If they're going to play out wide or a bit wider, depending on how we set up, they need to make those diagonal runs inside and not hug the touchlines. That's what Hudson-Odoi and Chilwell and Alonso and Reece James are for. They need to be inside and not just drifting out wide and sort of creating space where space isn't needed. Like if you're creating space away from the ball, but we're in the final third, then you're just occupying like dead space on the pitch. There's nothing for them to do. So it's really about just how we approach the game, how we set up, and how we start the game. If we start negatively, then we're known to continue to be negative for the rest of the game. We don't have a good turnaround mentality.
Well, I think that's what we did. That's what we did at the Bridge. That's what we did at the Bridge in September. We showed them too much respect. Like we didn't go at them. We just let them do what they wanted, and then Christensen made a mistake, got sent off, and that was that.
Yeah,
Whereas,
exactly.
For me, in the Europa, no, not Europa, the UEFA Super Cup final, I remember watching it in the pub in Padstow, and Giroud, he went after Van Dijk. He just put himself up against him, and he's like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna battle against you, and I'm gonna make you work hard for it." And he did, and I thought Giroud was superb that night. We lost on penalties that night, but I think that's what we need a bit more of. I think people obviously won't be playing, but people used to show, I think, Liverpool too much and Van Dijk too much respect. Go up against him, have a go at him, and even more so for this game without him. They've got two inexperienced centre backs. Kabak just come from the Bundesliga. We've seen how our Bundesliga have fared. Players have fared. Havertz and Ferd have both struggled. Thiago Alcantara, I know he struggled with injury, so I think he gets the benefit of the doubt. And obviously, Liverpool have had a shaky defence. So I think he gets the sort of the benefit of the doubt there. But they've struggled, so I think we've got to really go at them, go at Kabak, and put them on the back foot early doors.
Yeah. It's just pressure and pressing, and like you said, that's exactly right, mate. Teams are giving Liverpool too much respect. Like they won the league. There was also a United team that won the league 3 years in a row, but we didn't stop battling with them. We've won plenty of league titles in the last 15, 20 years. Nobody. I don't think any team has been this let off the hook like this Liverpool team. It's like, oh yeah, they were probably one of the best teams ever last year. All right, that was last year. Van Dijk hasn't played half this season. Joe Gomez has been absolutely shit all year. Like Trent, like he's still been pretty good, but not as good as he has been. Robertson, I haven't really seen much of anything from him. Fabinho, he's been fantastic this year, and obviously Mane and Salah, great. But Roberto Firmino, for me, he is the weak link of that team going forward. I think he holds everything together on a good day, but if he's not playing
I do feel for him though, because I feel like, touching on what I said earlier, Liverpool don't really have a plan B. So they play their own way and that's it. So I think Firmino would sometimes benefit from having a big striker up there with him. Just to throw people off. But at the moment, they know what Firmino's there to do. He's not sort of a big physical presence like Giroud, so he can't hold his own. So I actually think that's a little bit on Klopp personally for me. I think, I don't know if I don't think Origi's personally good enough, but he's shown for Liverpool that he can deliver. So I think they needed to play him a bit more, either with or without Firmino, and I think it would have really helped both Liverpool and Firmino.
Yeah. It really is just unfortunate for him. Like I just don't feel he's that much of it. I think he's a great player, but like I just in that team he just doesn't stand out or really do much. So it's really it's like you said, it's what Liverpool do. It's what they bring to us and how they come at us. But I'm not
Yeah.
terrified of it. I'm just hopeful we get a good result. Like, we're ahead of them in the league and we keep our push on and we get solid into the top 4 and push up closer to the top 2, top 3. Like, obviously, like I said
Yeah.
last week, and I'm sure you agree with me, like City, I think now with 12-point gap, 12 games to go, I think that's pretty insurmountable the way they're playing. It's 20 games in a row now without losing. Like, I think it's down to them to lose the league, but we just need to keep the pressure on of the teams above us and just keep pushing on.
Exactly so, mate. I mean, I think the big question, well, not the big question, but a question will be, will Liverpool sort of rue not signing Timo Werner? They're obviously linked with him heavily before the summer. They didn't. I think it sounded like he was potentially keen to go there. I mean, who would blame him? Didn't go there, came to Chelsea. I think that's a fantastic matchup for Thursday, don't you think? I think that's a great way to sort of see it.
Yeah, but it'd be a beautiful way to reignite his form if he bags a hat trick against them. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And
Yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up for us at the moment, Kieran. Oh, I did forget to do my stat of the match earlier, and the only
hit
reason
me
I'm
with it.
saying
I'm
this now is
excited.
because it is quite a good one. It is quite a good one. So this is for Chelsea Man United. Oh, I got two. I'll say the Atletico Madrid one as well. So my Chelsea Man United one is Chelsea and Man United have not drawn both league meetings in the same season since 1921 / 22. That's I mean that just shows I
Jeez,
think both
yeah,
the
100
state where,
years.
but that just shows the state of where both clubs are at the moment, to be honest. But
Yep.
fair enough. On a more positive one, which this one was actually more of a shock for me, was it's not directly linked to the game, but Mateo Kovacic has won the Champions League 3 times, all with Real Madrid. I mean, that's just one which goes under the radar, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
sort of forget he's in that team with obviously Modric and Tony Kroos. That's probably why he ended up with us. They would have kept him if they didn't have two of the best central midfielders in the world. But yeah, two pretty interesting
yeah.
stats. I didn't actually know that one about. I knew Kovacic had won the Champions League a few times, but I never knew that we hadn't drawn both league meetings with United in the same season for 100 years almost. That is
That is mad,
it's
isn't
a
it?
long time,
Yeah.
and you are right. It just sort of says the state of the clubs at the minute. We don't really know what we're doing, so we're going back to the Stone Age for the way things used to be, opposed to the last 2 decades of us being the two most dominant teams in England.
Yeah. I mean, 0-0 against second in the league, it's not a bad result. We'll take it. We'll take it. And I think that pretty
Yeah,
much rounds up
0-0 against the
tonight's.
Sir Alex United side. Sorry, just one last point. 0-0 against the Sir Alex United
That's all
side's a
right.
good
Go for
result,
it, mate.
but nowadays it isn't what you want. We go in with a little bit more confidence now. But yeah, I think that
Yeah.
clears everything up for this week. Obviously, a little bit
I
longer
think that
today,
pretty much
covering the
rounds up
two
today's
games.
episode. Yeah. Yeah, we did the double header. We called it today. We'll see how we think about that one. We might do another double header. We might not. I think we're going to try and do the Liverpool game on Thursday. Get a review out straight after that. But let us obviously know in the comments what you'd like to see. Thank you for your feedback so far. We've tried to take some of it on. And yeah, keep supporting the True Blues channel. Kieran, thank you for joining me.
Cheers, mate, and make sure for everyone to follow us on our social media platforms.
Yeah, links will be in the description. Big shout out, actually, thank you to Jimmy Randall as well. He massive help editing the video last time. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you next time on the True Blues YouTube channel. Cheerio.